Former Trump attorney and Kraken whisperer, Sidney Powell, she's watched more of her cases turn into an embarrassing rejection after district judges in Michigan and Georgia dismissed her latest evidence-free efforts to overturn the election for Trump. So first, let's visit what the Michigan, or at least the district judge for the Michigan case, had to say as she presented her evidence. Plaintiffs ask this court to ignore the orderly statutory scheme established to challenge elections and to ignore the will of millions of voters. This district judge, Linda Parker, wrote, "This the court cannot and will not do." She went on to say the people have spoken. And she entered the ruling hours after midnight on Monday morning. So this absolutely rejected Sidney Powell's push for it. So she also wrote, in addition to being moot, the lawsuit was also filed too late, making their complaint barred by a concept of judicial fairness known as latches. Plaintiffs could have lodged their constitutional challenges much sooner than they did, and certainly not 3 weeks after election day, and 1 week after certification of almost 3 million votes. She went on to say again, after identifying so many defects in the lawsuit, Parker suggested that the goal of the pro-Trump attorneys was not to win, but to destabilize democracy in the United States. Quote, for these reasons, the court finds that plaintiffs are far from likely to succeed in this manner, that she also notes. In fact, this lawsuit seems to be less about achieving the relief plaintiffs seek, as much of that relief is beyond the power of this court, and more about the impact of the allegations on people's faith in the democratic process and their trust in the government. So Sidney Powell got smacked down in Michigan there. Let's listen really quick to what another district judge for their case in Georgia had to say, just to give you a nice even connection to what's happening here.
The relief that the plaintiffs seek, this court cannot grant. They asked the court to order the Secretary of State to decertify the election results, as if such a mechanism even exists, and I find that it does not. The 11th Circuit said as much in the Wood case on Saturday. Finally, in their complaint, the plaintiffs essentially asked the court for perhaps the most extraordinary relief ever sought in any federal court in connection with an election. They want this court to substitute its judgment for that of 2.5 million Georgia voters who voted for Joe Biden, and this I am unwilling to do.
So just so you guys know, that is not an activist liberal judge appointed by Bernie Sanders somehow. That is, sorry, that's Judge Batten, Timothy Batten, who's appointed by George W. Bush. And he put together that argument against what Sidney Powell had to push, which she wanted to decertify everything in Georgia and just have them just announce their own electors.
Yeah, in fact, he's a very conservative judge, and he said overturning this election with no evidence would actually be judicial activism. I would be substituting my opinion for the opinion of all the voters of Georgia. It's like, I'm not gonna do that. That defies every conservative principle. And he also said, I mentioned latches, the legal principle Jayar mentioned, like, why didn't you guys file this earlier? Basically, when they say stuff like that, they're basically saying, why are you such a clown? So he wrote in his opinion, the law is pretty clear that a party cannot obtain the extraordinary remedy of injunctive relief unless he acts quickly. So you're not only incompetent in the fact that you presented no evidence, and oftentimes you ask for things that we can't even give you, but you also were so lazy and incompetent that you filed it way too late. So you've done literally everything wrong. And the Kraken's response to that is, Kraken breaks latches for a living, man. Okay, so you will give this injunctive relief to Vladimir Putin, and you'll also give me a pink Cadillac. We don't. That's not what judges do, and that's not a thing, right? Now I'm obviously kidding about Putin and the Cadillac, but literally in this thing that you just heard, the tape, he's like, there is no such remedy. I can't even legally, we can't even give you the thing that you're asking for. So why'd you bother asking for it?
It's so weird.
Look, I'll give you one more quote from Batten. He said, the relief that the plaintiff seeks, this court cannot grant. It is the most extraordinary relief ever sought. Okay, I mean, how much clearer do they need to be? I'll give you one more. US District Judge Stephen Grimberg, in a different Georgia case, wrote to halt the certification at literally the 11th hour would breed confusion and disenfranchisement that I find have no basis in fact in law. Who appointed him? Donald Trump. No basis in fact or law. That summarizes the 48 cases they have lost in a row. Yet at this point, still MAGA goes, I think she nailed it. Kraken's kind of badass.
She got fired, remember, she got fired from that.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, Jayar. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.